A mentally unstable man wrecks both his body and his life in pursuit of fame. But what he plans next will chill everyone to the bone. Killian Maddox dreams of becoming a professional bodybuilder. He battles violent mood swings while caring for his aging grandfather. Every night, his dinner looks more like a challenge than a meal: a dozen eggs and a mountain of meat. His walls are covered floor to ceiling with posters of muscle icons, and his mind is a maze of migraines, nightmares, and voices, sometimes even the echo of his late mother whispering in his head. Recently, Killian told his psychiatrist that he'd like to split open people's skulls and drink their brains like soup. Steroids have become his religion. Injections and gym sessions fill every waking hour. His ultimate fantasy is to meet his idol, bodybuilding legend Brad Vanderhorn, to whom he writes endless letters. Before one big competition, Killian vomits from nerves, wipes his mouth, then walks on stage with a forced grin. His muscles bulge, veins twisting under his skin, but the judges remain unimpressed. One even nudges him toward the edge of the stage, as if pushing him off his dream. By day, Killian stocks shelves at a local grocery store. He's quietly infatuated with the cashier, Jessie, but their shifts never line up. "That's why we never work together," she teases. He laughs awkwardly, memorizing her smile. He longs to see his own face on a fitness magazine cover one day, imagining himself immortalized like the men on his walls. After hesitating for weeks, he finally blurts, "Maybe you'd want to go out sometime, if you want to." Then, instantly backtracks, "You probably have a boyfriend or something." Without giving her a chance to reply, he bolts. Determined to make his name known, Killian records a YouTube video introducing himself, flexing, explaining his training, trying to sound confident. "Hi, Killian Maddox here," he says into the camera. Mid-sentence, a wave of pain hits and he collapses to the floor. He restarts, sweating, desperate to get it right. But the internet can be cruel. The comments shred him apart. Frustration boils over. When a painting company refuses to redo a job, Killian threatens to crack their skulls open and handle it himself. He storms out, drives to their store, only to find it closed. Rage blinds him. He smashes the door down, destroying everything inside, cutting himself on shards of glass as blood splatters the floor. Somehow, he escapes before the police arrive. Soon after, he's hospitalized following a car accident. Doctors deliver devastating news. The drugs he's using are eating him alive. His blood pressure is dangerously high, his organs close to failing. Tumors bloom inside his liver. Surgery is urgent. Killian refuses. That same night, he sneaks out of the hospital and resumes his injections. No matter how much he eats, 6,000 calories a day, his legs refuse to grow. "What am I doing wrong?" he groans in front of the mirror, tears mixing with sweat. In a rare moment of vulnerability, he Googles how to make people like him. The top result says, "smile." He tries, but the gesture feels alien. At work, his anger still leaks through. One afternoon, he spits into a customer's pie just because he doesn't like the guy's face. Out of nowhere, Jessie calls him. She actually says yes to a date. Shocked, Killian scrambles, showers, shaves, sprays cologne, picks his best shirt. When Jessie touches his cheek, he blushes. "You're making me blush," he laughs nervously. "It looks good on you," she smiles. For a moment, everything seems possible. Then, Killian overshares. "My dad's dead," he blurts. "My mom too. He shot her, then himself." Jessie freezes. The air turns heavy. Trying to fill the silence, Killian orders 7 dishes. Jessie forces a smile, realizing she's made a terrible mistake. When she admits she's never heard of Brad Vanderhorn, Killian looks offended. "Mr. Olympia 2015, runner-up," he says, almost shouting. He drones on about deltoids, rep counts, training splits, pain thresholds. "The body doesn't grow until rep 12. You gotta push past pain," he insists while Jessie silently panics. She excuses herself for the restroom and bolts out the front door. The waitress returns to tell him she's gone. Killian sits alone, humiliated, and compensates by ordering a mountain of fast food and dessert. Later, he keeps writing letters to Brad, describing every detail of his miserable life. Determined to redeem himself, Killian enters another competition. On the way, he's ambushed by the same thugs whose story trashed. They beat him mercilessly, cracking ribs, leaving him bleeding in the street. Somehow he crawls back to his car and drives to the event anyway. Half naked, bruised, limping, he pushes through the crowd yelling, "Let me through!" The audience gasps when he appears on stage, swollen and dripping blood. He tries to pose, biceps flexing, abs trembling, but pain overpowers him. Tears stream down his face before his body collapses completely. When he wakes up, he's submerged in an ice bath, cameras flashing around him. A video of his breakdown goes viral. Furious, Killian smashes every recording he can find, tears down his posters, and empties his fridge in a frenzy. Then he collapses on the floor, panting, defeated. To save face, he lies to his lawyer, claims he's dating Jessie, that they've done magazine shoots together. "She likes me a lot," he says, forcing a grin. That evening, he brings home a sex worker. But another cruel side effect hits. Steroid-induced dysfunction. His body is literally breaking down. "I'm sick," he whispers, disgusted. The next day, he acts overly cheerful toward customers, as if pretending everything's fine. But coworkers sense the tension. The manager finally calls him in. "I'm sorry, Killian, but we have to let you go." "My image brings fame to this store," Killian argues. "Name and image?" The manager laughs. "Nobody even knows who you are." Killian's eyes darken. "Be careful how you talk to me," he warns. One word more and he might have cracked his boss's skull open, just like in his fantasies. One afternoon, while eating alone in a small diner, Killian spots one of the men who once beat him bloody. The guy is sitting peacefully with his wife and kids. Rage ignites inside Killian. He walks straight to their table and in a chilling monotone tells the children that their father once split his skull open with a metal pipe. "Don't drink Coke," he adds coldly, before downing his own glass in one gulp. The restaurant falls silent. The father pleads, "Please, I'm with my family." Killian smirks. "Then teach them what happens when people disrespect me." A waiter tells him to leave. He snaps. Fat, bald, coward, ugly, short. The insults spill out like bullets. Then, as if possessed, he storms outside and smashes his forehead into a parked car's window, shattering the glass. Police arrive within minutes. They wrestle him to the ground, twist his arm, pepper spray his eyes, and beat him with batons. "Don't die, freak!" one of them spits. Broken and bleeding, Killian is dragged away in handcuffs. He now owes $1,200 for the damage and faces multiple assault charges. Later, he thanks his lawyer politely, almost tenderly, for trying to save him. "I appreciate your time," he says, voice eerily calm, before walking out to his car. As he grips the steering wheel, a violent fantasy floods his mind. What if he just pulled a trigger and ended every miserable face he sees? Days later, anonymous packages begin arriving at his door. Inside are pieces of a rifle, then a handgun, then boxes of ammunition. Piece by piece, he assembles his private arsenal. The sound of metal clinking becomes his lullaby. At night, he prowls nightclubs, shirt tight against his swollen chest, posing for strangers who look more terrified than impressed. By day, he practices firing into abandoned lots, the gun kicking against his shoulder like an angry heartbeat. Every squeeze of the trigger gives him a flicker of control, a brief illusion of power. It feels inevitable now. Something terrible is coming. Then the phone rings. The caller ID makes his heart race. Brad Vanderhorn, his idol, the man he's worshipped for years, is finally calling. "Hey, champ," Brad says warmly. "I'll be in town next week. Let's meet up." When that day arrives, Killian shows up at Brad's photo shoot trembling with anticipation. Brad greets him with a blinding celebrity smile, compliments his physique, even lets him touch his abs. "You're in good shape, kid," Brad says. "You're my #1 fan, huh?" For a fleeting second, Killian feels seen, chosen. But the magic evaporates fast. Minutes later, Brad starts mocking him behind his back, joking to the crew about that crazy fan. Killian's face hardens. The laughter echoes like knives in his ears. He slips out quietly, humiliated. Soon, he's calling Brad nonstop, leaving rambling voicemails. "Can we be friends? You said we'd hang out. Why'd you lie? Silence answers every time. His tone turns darker. You hurt me, Brad. You'll remember me soon. One night at a club, a twitchy junkie bumps into him. You want to feel alive? The man mutters, pulling a small bag from his pocket. I got a gun too. Go out there and blow their brains all over the floor. Killian stares at him, half in horror, half in fascination. For once, he walks away, but the seed is planted. Hours later, he leaves another message for Brad, whispering, next time, somebody's gonna die. Maybe then you'll call me back. A week later, he breaks into a suburban home carrying a shotgun. The man inside freezes. He recognizes Killian. It's one of the judges from that disastrous competition, the one who criticized his hamstrings. You remember me? Killian growls. The judge stammers that he'll write a letter to fix everything, but Killian just smiles. Take off your clothes. He orders the terrified man to pose, double biceps, lat spread, smile, while upbeat music blares. Bigger smile, Killian demands. Show me what perfection looks like. Then, suddenly, he stops. Something flickers behind his eyes. He lowers the gun, turns, and walks out without another word. That night, he Googles again. How to make sure people remember you. The first result says, be brave, change history. To him, that sounds like a prophecy. He scrawls on a wall, Killian Maddox was here, packs a duffel bag full of guns, and drives toward Brad Vanderhoorn's live show. Inside the packed convention hall, lights flash and cameras roll. Brad stands on stage, basking in applause, when a lone figure in a hoodie steps forward. Killian opens the bag and pulls out his rifle. The crowd hasn't noticed yet. He stares at Brad, the man who once made him feel small, who now represents everything fake and untouchable in his world. For a moment, he doesn't move. The roar of the audience fades into silence. Memories flood in. His parents' deaths, his mother's voice, his grandfather's gentle hands, the younger version of himself standing proudly under stage lights. Then, something inside him cracks or heals. Killian lowers the gun. He turns away and leaves, walking into the night before anyone can stop him. Back home, he bursts through the door and collapses into his grandfather's arms, sobbing. I'm sorry, he whispers. The old man says nothing, just holds him. At sunrise, Killian disassembles every weapon, leaves the parts by the train tracks, then flushes every pill and syringe down the toilet. In his garage, he takes one last self-portrait, shirtless, scarred, eyes hollow, and pins it on the wall. To him, it's proof that he existed. One day, he murmurs to his reflection, the whole world will know my name. That was the rise and fall of Killian Maddox, a man who tore himself apart trying to be remembered.